Siobhan here with the Fighting News, and we are live here at the XFN weigh-ins. I am actually here with the president himself, Daniel Kay. Thank you so much for having us today.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thanks for coming out.
Wonderful. And so this is XFN number 26.
Yep.
Come a long way. We were talking a little bit about that before the camera started rolling. Can you tell us how you started? Where did you start?
Yeah, so XFN 1 was at Tootsie's nightclub, cabaret in Miami Gardens, Florida. It was a small show. It was the first show that I put on as XFN, and we needed to start in a simple environment, kind of build up from there. So we did the first 2 shows there, sold out the venue a couple times, moved into bigger venues, sold out those a bunch of times, up, and now we're at the Palm Beach County Convention Center in West Palm for tomorrow night's fights.
That is a huge accomplishment. And so how does that feel?
It's great. I mean, it's a wonderful feeling. It's a great accomplishment. I couldn't have done it without the support of the MMA community. Couldn't have done it without the fans, our sponsors, the fighters. You know, I originally started this company for the fighters. I was an aspiring amateur MMA fighter at one point. I was trying to get my foot in the door. I wanted to be the next UFC champion, just like everybody else. And, you know, back when I was fighting, it was in 2011, or back when I was trying to fight, I really should say, because I only got to once. And that was the real reason why I came up with XFN. I kept getting matched up on different shows, different promotions, and they would tell me, yeah, this is your opponent, he's going to be there, and show up at weigh-ins. Oh, he's not here at weigh-ins, he's going to show up tomorrow, weigh-in tomorrow. Show up the next day, oh, I'm sorry, your opponent, you know, ghosted on us a week ago, and we just expected him to show up. Okay, first time that happened, I'm like, all right, I'm new to this, so this must be the way it goes. Second time it happened, third time, fourth time. It happened a 5th time. I was supposed to fight actually at another venue in West Palm. It was a Thursday night, and opponent no-showed to the day of the fights, didn't show up to the weigh-ins. And I was so frustrated at that point. I had my buddy, may he rest in peace, Aaron Rajman. He got on the phone real quick, found another fight that was going on the very next night in Orlando. So we left West Palm at midnight, got to Orlando at 4 o'clock in the morning, slept at a buddy's house who was at UCF at the dorms, and woke up 9 a.m., weighed in, fought that night in Orlando, and that was my first and unfortunately only fighting experience. I didn't win that fight. I was winning. My cardio got the best of me. I gave up my back in the 2nd round, gave up a rear naked choke, and I tapped. And today I kicked myself for it because it wasn't a tight choke. And I was like, oh, it's okay, I'll get another opportunity. And it never did again. I was scheduled to fight a couple more times after that. Same thing happened. Opponents no-showed, didn't show up to the day of the fight. And at that point, I said, okay, I got to do something about it. If this keeps happening, it shouldn't, doesn't need to. So I decided to come up with XFN with the goal of having fights that are booked in advance and that come to fruition. And thankfully, for the most part, I want to say we probably have a above 90% fruition rate on our fights.
Wow.
And you know, if that's the least that I can do for this community, at least I'm not wasting anybody's time.
That's awesome. So what I'm hearing is through the adversity, you created a solution.
Yeah, that was the plan. It's not completely avoidable. It happens. Like on this card, XFN 26, we had Daniel Morrison, who was scheduled to fight out of John Wayne Kung Fu. This is actually the 3rd time in a row that on fight week, his opponent pulls out. I mean, it was a legitimate fighter. What we do at XFN in order to keep up with these guys and make sure that the fights happen is we stalk them pretty much on social media. Make sure that if there's any sign that there's injury or something is happening, we know well enough in advance to where we can find a replacement, an opponent. And unfortunately, it happened again 3 days, you know, before the weigh-ins. His opponent got injured. And I just feel terrible. You know, I feel embarrassed reaching out to that coach and saying, I'm so sorry that this happened again. You know, thankfully, I can't really say that that's been a trend for any other fighter at XFN, but it happens. It's unavoidable. But we do everything we can to make sure it doesn't.
And we appreciate that, and I'm sure the fighters do too. And everyone knows, I mean, the professors, the coaches, the fighters themselves, they know that it's always a risk. And it is unfortunate. And, you know, I have some friends that are fighters, and I've seen you guys, I mean, even Jersey tonight, you guys were able to find him a last-minute opponent. So that was great. So your success rate as far as finding replacements, I mean, you guys are working hard and really being the difference, and that shows through tonight especially.
Yeah, definitely. Jersey was, it's Brandon Carroll. He was really tough to find an opponent for. You know, our matchmaker, Mike Maldonado, one of the best in the business. I mean, he worked really hard to make something happen, and You know, yes, we do everything we can on our end, but we also have to give it up to those fighters willing to step up last minute. Michael Young, who took this last minute fight to fight Brandon Carroll, a lot of props to him. We really appreciate those kinds of fighters. We need more like that. It helps us do what we do, and you know, again, nobody wants to waste their time. Fighters don't want to waste their time going through a training camp, killing their bodies through a weight cut. Promoters don't want to waste their time promoting events and spending money to try to make it something great. So it's really a team effort. I don't do it alone. You know, I need my team behind me. I need the support of the community. I need the support of my sponsors, and that's the only way it gets done.
And you guys are definitely getting the job done. We're going to see tomorrow night XFN 26. So with all that being said, what would you like to say to the community that you're building, to future fighters who are ambitious and want to get into this field? What would you say to those?
Well, first of all, thank you. Thank you for being a fan of the sport. Thank you for being involved in the sport in any way that you are. And take it as seriously as you want to be taken. If you want to fight, if you want to become a professional, or even if just fighting is your passion, you have no aspirations of becoming a professional, take it seriously. Represent yourself and your team and your family the way that you want to be represented. You know, this is a sport where two people are fighting, but it's still a sport about respect. And you know, if you want to take this seriously, we'll take you seriously, and we'll give you a real stage to perform on.
You heard it now here on the Fighting News. That's amazing. Daniel Kay, thank you so much. President of XFN, we look forward to a fantastic event tonight. How can we connect with you?
Follow us social media at XFN Fights. Check out our website, www.xfnfights.com. And of course, if you can't make it to South Florida, if you can't make it to West Palm tomorrow, tune in live only on flowcombat.com.
Awesome. Thank you so much. For more of the Fighting News, make sure to like and subscribe.